Okay, and just briefly introduce the three presenters. So I'm one of them. I'm Rebecca Goodchild. I'm a librarian at Sacramento City College. I'm also the City College LRCFT VP. And then Katie, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Katie Carberry. I guess I'm a Sac City LRCFT campus rep.
And Stephanie.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Rowe. I am the LRCFT Secretary Treasurer, and I'm also on the Insurance Review Committee with the district. So I'm glad that you all can make it here today.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to share the screen and start the slideshow. Oops. Okay, can everyone see the slides?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so I guess Stephanie, you want to take it off and I'll just try to click through them to match.
Yeah, click through them for us, please. Thank you. Okay, so our agenda today is to go over quite a bit of stuff. We want to talk about the changes to what's happening to our insurance plans. We're going to talk about the high deductible plan and HSA. Both Katie and I are going to talk about that. We'll look at cost comparisons between the high deductible plan and HMO, and same thing for Sutter, and talk about some of the benefits of doing the high deductible plan with the HSA. And then we'll have a break for some questions, and then we'll talk about the insurance for part-timers and retirees. And then we'll end it off with some AFT union benefits that everybody has access to. So if you do have a question, please do type it in the chat. We will, whoever's not talking, one of the other speakers will answer questions as we are going. But we will also have a break after we talk about the cost comparison to have interactive discussion and questions. So why does the cost keep going up, and right? And why can't LRCFT fix this? Why can't the union fix this? Which is part of, a big question. The first thing we have to realize is that we have the LRCFT, even though we're the largest bargaining unit in the district, we have one vote on the table. And included is going to be LRCEA, SCIU. The managers are actually part of the bucket system, so they also have a vote. The managers do. And the part of the issue is that the district themselves, so the money that this coverage of the $1,500 that is contributed for our coverage of our plans is actually coming money from our own bucket. So this is from money that is set aside for faculty that we are actually paying ourselves money to cover the HMO costs. The district contributes nothing to our health coverage. And one of the things that is starting to happen in the district, for your information, is that the other unions and our union are basically going to try to gang up on the district. And that's one of our new negotiating things that we're going to try in the next contract, is to get the district to actually kick in also money on top of what we contribute. But that's in the works. So how do we get to that $1,500 and 1535? Well, each year when we are looking at the COLA, we have to negotiate with the district whether or not we're going to take part of the percentage of COLA to our salaries, or will we contribute part of that to the ongoing health care. And so this year it was decided to put it all towards salary schedule, since not all faculty are actually using healthcare. And we figure people would rather have money in their paychecks than trying to cover part of that healthcare cost. So because we took the full 4% to our COLA, there was no money left for increasing that 1535. So because of that, this is where we are. We're continuing. That was the same that we did last year, was 1535, and so we kept it the same this year. Next slide. So this is basically an overall look as to what the new plans are going to cost for the HMOs. So each of them have increased, and Kaiser unfortunately has increased the most. So if you are going to be, so the plan on the left is basically how much is coming from the healthcare companies as to how much they're going to charge us. And then we have our monthly contribution from our bucket. And the difference is what is being paid out of pocket. So Kaiser is the most expensive, and Western Health. Western Health used to be $0, but this year it's going to be a $20 premium a month. And so, of course, it depends on if you do monthly or 12 months or 10 months, how much is actually taken out of your pocket. So if we want to look to see what was last year compared to this year, so we already had the coverage increase last year from Kaiser, which was pretty significant, by $200. This year it's going up another $220 for HMO for Kaiser. And the DMO has increased over the past 3 years as well. Sutter, unfortunately, so Sutter last year ended up making a mistake on their calculations. And so we ended up getting a benefit last year from Sutter. And so, of course, they made up for their mistake last year. And basically, because we had hardly any increase, we had like a 4% increase, or actually no increase in Sutter last year. And so they've caught up to what should have been the increase last year. And they've kind of just whammed us with a 12% increase. So the HMO is going from $50 to $250, unfortunately. And then Western Health has also increased, and now we have a $20 copay or $20 premium monthly. So because the HMOs are pretty expensive, we're going to have a discussion on, is it more lucrative for you all to choose a high deductible plan? We all saw Mario's email come out because the district kind of wants to push everybody towards the high deductible plan, which is kind of, even in our meetings, it was kind of confusing why Mario was pushing this when the district doesn't pay anything towards our healthcare. But nonetheless, that was part of the push from the district, is trying to convince people to do the high deductible plan. So what does the high deductible plan mean? So that basically means you have a certain deductible that you have to reach. And up until that point, you're paying the insurance price on your services. So if you go to the doctor, instead of a copay, you're going to pay the full insurance price. So if your copay would have been $20 on an HMO, the full insurance price might be, I think my doctor, when I go see my primary, initially it was like $250. And so you pay the $250. But on top of the high deductible, you can have an HSA card, because that goes along with it, which is our health savings, I don't know what the A stands for, Advantage, or I don't know, but you get a credit card basically.
Account.
Account, there you go. Thank you. Health savings account. Thank you. I'm like, what's the A stand for? So our health savings account, and depending on which plan you are in, Kaiser, Sutter, or Western Health, because of the difference between the premium from the healthcare and the amount that is coming from our bucket, there's excess on some of the plans. Not all of them this year, unfortunately, but that excess that is coming from our bucket gets contributed to you on the HSA card. So we'll look at that too. The deductible comes from the government. The IRS sets the range of the deductible for individual and family plans. So that is out of our control for the increase from year to year. Oh, I kind of already explained. I kind of went ahead and kind of explained it. So, but part of the trick with the deductible is that even after you meet the deductible, there has to be something that has a charge. So for Sutter, the only charge that you would have after you meet your deductible is if you have a hospital admission and you need to pay a $50 copay per admission, not per day of a stay at a hospital, just per admission. So I have the Sutter Health high deductible plan, and since I had some health issues, and so I went to the doctor quite a bit, and then I met my deductible. Even on the family plan, I met my deductible in July. I don't pay for anything else. I've had mammograms. I'm going to have an MRI. I'm going to, all my prescription drugs. Anytime I see the doctor, none of it is I don't have to pay for any more out of pocket because I met the deductible. If I go to the hospital and get admitted, then I'd have to pay a $50 copay. The catch for Kaiser and Western Health is after you meet the deductible, then you have to still pay for the prescription copay, not the full price of the prescription, which you do before the deductible, but after the deductible, you're paying for the copay similar to what's on the HMO. So you end up paying a little bit more on the high deductible plan out of pocket after the deductible for Kaiser and Western Health than you do for Sutter. But it really is, once you meet that deductible, you're only paying just those two little extra things. And so I've been on the high deductible since I joined the district, and it saved me lots of money. Okay, next slide. So I mentioned a little bit about the health savings account. Oh, there's my A. So the health savings account works two ways. So like I said, the excess of the healthcare premium and what is being contributed from our bucket will leave extra money. And so some of that will go aside. I don't know if we have that on the next slide. I can't remember, but Kaiser is getting $50 and Western Health is $101.45, depending on single individual or family. And Sutter, unfortunately, this year, because of the healthcare premium cost, is basically even with the money from our bucket. So there's no money coming each month now for the HSA. But you can set aside your own money out as part of enrollment period of how much you want to put into the HSA account. And this has like a triple whammy benefit. It's pre-tax, so it reduces your adjusted gross income. And then you can invest it. It goes into an investment account and it earns, I think it's earning like 4.5% right now of interest that is not taxable. And after you retire, that is still your money. Unlike the FSA card where you have to, when you're on an HMO, the FSA card, you have to set aside and say how much money you think you're going to spend in the next year. And if you don't use it, you lose it. Whereas the HSA doesn't work like that. The HSA lives forever and it's your money. It's your money. And when you retire, you get to use that money for additional health costs in the future. So the HSA is great. So this is the chart that I was saying, what would have been, what gets contributed to the HSA card. So for Kaiser, $50 will come So of course, our paychecks come from the district, so it looks like it's coming from the district, but it's really from our difference between what we contribute. So $50 goes to your HSA card every month from when we get paid. And then Sutter unfortunately gets nothing. And then Western Health is going to get 100 and 150 for family. So you can contribute. There's unfortunately, of course, the IRS says, yes, you get this benefit, but we're going to limit it. So as an individual, you can contribute up to $4,300. So that's a combination. That's a combination of what is coming from our bucket each month and your own contributions that you're doing, which you can do directly from your paycheck, or Katie will describe how you can contribute outside of the payroll system and contribute that money as well. And family is $85.50. And then once you reach the lovely age of 55 and older, there's additional monies that you can contribute to the HSA. And basically it works like the FSA program. So it is, it's a credit card that you can just swipe when you're at the doctor, or you can use the credit card when you get a bill and put that information, or you can also get money directly. If you paid for something out of pocket because you didn't have your HSA card with you or something, you can reimburse yourself. You just got to keep track of the receipts, of course, with your taxes. So there are, of course, other limits when there's for the HSA. If you are over 65 and enrolled in Medicare or Social Security, you cannot participate with the HSA. So if you're just working with the district and you're not on Medicare or Social Security, you're still good. But you do need to stop your own personal monies going to the HSA card 6 months prior to retirement. You cannot be in both the FSA and the HSA. So the district will prevent this anyways. They will only let you be in the HSA program if you have a high deductible plan. If you're on the HMO, they will make sure that you're not in both programs. So FSA is for the HMO plans, and HSA is for the high deductible. And if you are covered by healthcare, sorry, one more thing. If you're covered by healthcare on another plan with a partner or a spouse, you can't have an HSA card. And what can the HSA card be spent on? Like I said, it could be your doctor, but you can also use it for dental bills. I put in extra money on my card every year because glasses are expensive, and I can use it for glasses, and it's pre-tax money. So my AGI goes down and I don't pay. So I'm getting pre-tax money to pay for bills, and I'm saving money by doing that. Mental health. You can actually buy over-the-counter healthcare items as well with your HSA card. So the card will usually prevent you from buying stuff that you're not allowed to if you go to a store and try to swipe it. But if you take money out yourself, there is a penalty if you use it for non-medical expenses. But if you just use it at your doctor's offices for dental, vision, and mental health, you're pretty good. Okay, I'm going to turn this over to Miss Katie now to talk about our cost comparisons.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so I know there is a lot of information about this, and depending on how you think about things, it kind of like swirls around in your mind, and you're like, how do I even compare these things? So we made a few slides to try to compare how the HDHP and the HMO would work, and kind of how you can think about the different costs. associated with those two types of plans for each of the carriers. And so we're going to start with Kaiser, then Sutter, then Western Health Advantage, because I know that Kaiser is the most troubling with its premium increase. So the new amount, if you were on the Kaiser HMO, that you would be charged, your premium contribution under this plan, starting in 2025, is going to be $682 a month. That is the 12-month cost. So the total per year for the premium is $8,193. And then in addition to that, because when you're on the HMO, you owe copays for various medical care. So in addition to that, you would pay copays up to your out-of-pocket maximum, which for those plans, they have a out-of-pocket maximum that you can pay in copays. That's how the HMO basically works. So the minimum amount that you could pay with the HMO for Kaiser is $8,193 because that's the premium. You're going to pay that no matter what. With the Kaiser high deductible health plan, the way that it will work is that each month you get $50 put in your HSA, in your health savings account. That $50 comes through from payroll. That's not something you're contributing. That is the employer contribution. So you get $600 a year because it's 12 months. And there was a question about that in the chat. The district, the way they publish their materials about healthcare costs is always per month with this HSA thing. But because we only get paid 10 times, the way that works is that in your first paycheck of the year and your last paycheck of the year, they give you double. So it ends up being still 12 months worth of the HSA contribution. So it's $600 a year that you get in your HSA from the employer on the Kaiser high deductible plan. You do not pay a premium on the Kaiser high deductible plan. There is no premium cost. So nothing is coming out of your paycheck to pay for the premium of the health insurance. You're actually receiving the money. However, because you're on the high deductible plan, you have a high deductible. That's like what these plans are. And your deductible on the Kaiser high deductible plan is, if it's individual coverage, then you would have a deductible of $1,800 per year. If it is family coverage, then you have a deductible of $3,600 for your whole family combined. And they also have a deductible for individual within family, which means that's the deductible for an individual who has family coverage. So each individual has their own deductible. But the way it works is that once you've met the family deductible, you've met the deductible. And then regardless of whether each individual has met the individual within family deductible, you're still considered to have met the deductible on the family plan. They also have out-of-pocket maximum amounts for these high deductible plans. The out-of-pocket maximum is what it sounds like. This is the maximum amount you can end up paying on the plan. What they have here is that the out-of-pocket max is $3,700 for individuals and $7,400 for family. That's the out-of-pocket max for the high deductible plan. So when you put this all together and think about the way that it works, on the high deductible plan, you could, if you're on the individual coverage, end up spending $1,200. That's the deductible of $1,800 minus the $600 that you are being given in the HSA from the district. Or if you're on family coverage, you could end up spending $3,000, which is the family deductible of $3,600 minus the $600 in the HSA that you're being given by the district. However, in the high deductible health plan for Kaiser, after you meet the deductible, you still have to pay co-pays for prescriptions. So every high deductible plan has one thing that you still have to pay co-pays for after you've met the deductible. And in Kaiser, that thing is prescriptions. So after you meet the deductible, you don't have to pay for anything else. You go to the hospital, you don't have to pay for it. You go to the doctor, you don't have to pay for it. You have any kind of other medical treatment or test or whatever it is, you don't have to pay for it. But if you've met the deductible, you still do have to pay a copay for all your prescriptions. You only pay those copays until you've met the out-of-pocket maximum. And then after that, you wouldn't have to pay those copays anymore either. So it's kind of a convoluted thing, but at the end of the day, if you want to think about it in terms of worst case scenarios with Kaiser, the out-of-pocket maximum for a family on the high deductible plan is $7,400. That's the most you can pay. And the premium cost of the HMO for Kaiser is over $8,000. So what that means is that you're going to pay $8,000 if you're on the HMO, and the most you can pay on the high deductible plan is less than that. So just from a financial perspective, if you're thinking about it only in terms of money and not anything else, not your convenience, not how you prefer to handle things, but just in terms of money, it's very hard for me to imagine choosing to be on the HMO, because it does not seem to me that that would be financially beneficial for Kaiser. All right, I can see that there's a ton of questions in the chat, but I'm not going to answer them. I'm going to let Rebecca and Stephanie do that. Let's move on to the Sutter one. Okay, so this slide looks almost exactly the same, but now it is about Sutter rather than Kaiser. So this one is comparing Sutter high deductible plan with HMO for Sutter. For the Sutter HMO, the new premium cost is going to be $248.70 per month. That's for 12 months. So the total cost per year for premiums for the Sutter HMO is going to be $2,984. So that is how much is going to come out of your paychecks for the premium for the Sutter plan. Plus, because it's an HMO, you'll have to pay copays just like any HMO. So you'll pay, $20 or whatever it is when you go to the doctor and for other things like that. On the Sutter high deductible health plan, this is a little bit different than Kaiser. In the past, in previous years, you also received an HSA contribution from the employer for being on the Sutter high deductible health plan. However, no more. That is going away. So we will no longer have that. So if you are on the Sutter high deductible plan and you stay on it for 2025, you will no longer receive an employer contribution to the HSA. However, another unfortunate change is that you will have a premium cost. Sutter is the only high deductible health plan right now that has a premium cost. And the premium cost is not high. It's $268 per year. It's like $26 monthly. So it's not a huge premium cost, but this is a change from the past when there was no premium cost to the Sutter high deductible health plan. The deductible for the year for the Sutter high deductible health plan is $1,650 for individual coverage, or for family coverage, it's $3,300. And then they also have $3,300 as their individual within a family deductible. Their out-of-pocket max is listed here. For individual, it is $3,300, and for family, it is $6,600. Now, there's another very important difference to understand between the Sutter high deductible health plan and the Kaiser high deductible health plan. In addition to the fact that the HSA contribution works differently, and that there's a premium cost for the Sutter one, because you might think, why is that? Why does the Kaiser high deductible health plan give you the HSA contribution and not have a premium cost, but the Sutter one doesn't give you an HSA contribution and you do have a premium cost? And I think that comes down to many things, but one of the things is that after you meet the deductible on the Sutter high deductible health plan, the only thing you have to pay for is hospital admission copays. That is very different from the Kaiser high deductible health plan, where you still have to pay copays for all prescriptions, because lots of people take prescriptions, and in a family, maybe there's many prescriptions that people are taking, but hospital admission copays would be something that people don't spend a lot of money on, because it's $50 per admission to the hospital. Not per day, not anything like that, but per time you were admitted to the hospital, you have to pay $50. And that's the only thing you have to pay for after you've met the deductible on the Sutter high deductible plan. So because of that, because most of us are not being admitted to the hospital, more than hopefully a couple times a year, when you're on the Sutter high deductible health plan, realistically, you're going to spend as an individual, if you're on individual coverage, about $1,900 a year maximum. And that $1,900 is your deductible, the $1,650, plus the premium cost. After you've spent that much on the individual high deductible health plan for Sutter, you won't have to pay anything else except $50 per hospital admission. For the family coverage for Sutter high deductible health plan, the maximum amount you could realistically pay is about $3,500, $3,568.80, and that is the family deductible plus the premium cost for the year. After you've paid that amount, you don't have to pay anything else except for $50 per admission. So even though the out-of-pocket maximum for a family on the Sutter high deductible health plan is $6,600, after you've met the deductible, I mean, unless I don't even know what would have to happen, maybe a hospital admits you and discharges someone from your family multiple times per month for the entire year, then maybe you could come close to the out-of-pocket maximum, but probably not, because very few people are admitted to the hospital like repeatedly throughout the year. That's not common. So the takeaway on this, and I know this is convoluted to think about, but hopefully I've explained it well enough. The takeaway is that for individuals, you're really going to come out ahead on the Sutter high deductible health plan financially in almost like every imaginable situation. Because if you're on the HMO, you have to pay $2,984 plus copays. But if you're on the high deductible health plan, your deductible is $1,650 and your premium cost is $268. So you're really not going to have to realistically pay more than $1,918 unless you're admitted to the hospital constantly. For a family, it's a little bit more dependent on the details of your situation, but when I think about them, they're pretty close because the deductible, the maximum I see here, $3,568, is pretty close to the premium cost. And remember, on an HMO, you have the copays too. So it's kind of a toss-up what would be better with Sutter family. All right, the last one, Western Health Advantage. Okay, so in the past, Western Health Advantage was free. Everybody loved that. Unfortunately, that has come to an end, but luckily, the premium cost is still only going to be $236 a year, which is very low. I mean, that is a good low premium cost for us. If you're on the HMO, you would pay that premium cost out of your paycheck plus copays because you're on an HMO. If you were to be on the Western Health Advantage high deductible plan, that has the highest HSA contribution from the employer. So you're going to get from the district $100 a month for individual coverage or $150 a month for family coverage in your HSA if you're on this plan. So the total you would receive in your HSA for an individual is $1,200, or for a family, $1,800. Wait, is that right? $1,800. Did I add that up correctly? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I got confused for a second there. Yeah, so those are the amounts you would get per year in your HSA. And then these deductibles, because it's a high deductible health plan, are $1,800 for individual and $3,600 for family. The out-of-pocket max down here is $3,600 for individual and $7,200 for family. So on the individual plan, you would end up on the high deductible individual plan, spending a maximum of $600 plus prescription copays. So that $600 would be your deductible minus the HSA contributions you were receiving. But then after you met the deductible, you would still have the prescription copays. Or on the family plan for this one, you would pay $1,800. That's the family deductible minus the family HSA contribution. But again, you would still owe prescription copays after that, up to the out-of-pocket maximum. So again, for this one, it is a little bit less clear. The HMO can cost less for many people because the premium cost is pretty low, but you can still choose to be on the high deductible health plan. It has the highest HSA contribution. If you don't have a lot of health problems or you just want to have a health savings account because you want to be able to save extra money in that, that you put in there yourself, that's an option. So they can both work for different groups of people. All right, so let's look at the next few slides about how health savings account works, and then we'll go to a Q&A break. Okay, we've renamed this slide Bland Yet True Financial Wizardry with HSAs because these are just some basic facts that you should know about health savings accounts. In this district, the health savings account money that the district gives you goes into Fidelity Health Savings Account, which is a pretty good health savings account. If you are familiar with Basic Pacific from having a flexible savings account, this is better, in my opinion, having used both. It is much easier to use Fidelity. Fidelity is like a real investment company. So if you want to, and you have extra money left over in your HSA that you did not spend, you can invest it. Stephanie was mentioning it can pay interest. You can invest it in like an account that is basically it's like a money market fund. It'll pay you interest. That's kind of the default thing. Or if you end up with a bunch of extra money in there and you're like, I want to invest this so that I can spend it on healthcare and retirement, you have the option to do that. It works very similarly to like when you have like an IRA or something like that. You will see in the district literature and all kinds of other places that these are referred to as triple tax advantaged accounts. I always found that kind of confusing because they're only triple tax advantage for federal taxes and not for California taxes. So just keep that in mind. But what they mean by triple tax advantaged is that if you are getting payroll contributions either from the district or you sign up to put extra money in yourself, that is pre-tax for federal taxes. If you earn money in the HSA, if you invest it in something or you earn interest, those interest earnings are not federally taxed as while they're in the HSA. And if you take the money out because you've used it for qualified medical expenses and now you're reimbursing yourself for those expenses, that is not taxed either as long as it's for medical expenses. So there's a tax advantage to these accounts. For California taxes, that doesn't apply. But for federal taxes, there's a tax advantage. So on the next slide, this is a screenshot that they have from Fidelity of kind of how it works. It says, money you save from your paycheck goes into your health savings account tax-free and lowers your taxable income. This would be if you chose to, you could choose to put extra money into your health savings account. So when you go to enroll in benefits, let's say you're on the Sutter high deductible health plan like I am, and you're like, oh no, the district contribution is zero. So now no money will be going into my HSA, but I want money in there so that I can pay for my healthcare expenses. Well, then you can sign up to contribute yourself per month, just in the same way that you could sign up to contribute to like the 403B per month, and it comes out of your own wages. Same thing. I could say, I want to contribute $100 per month or whatever, and then they would take that out of my paycheck pre-tax, pre-federal tax, and put it in there. Then when it comes time for me to pay for medical expenses, I can either use the health savings card that they give me that kind of is like a debit card for that account, or I can pay for those expenses myself. And then at the end of the year, add them all up, go through my receipts and reimburse myself from the account. You can do it either way. Let's say at the end of the year, I didn't have that many medical expenses. I put in $100 a month. Now I've got $1,200 in there, but I only went to the doctor once and I didn't have any prescription costs. So I've got a bunch left over in there. Well, that money rolls over to the next year. So you don't have to worry if you've contributed money that it will disappear like you do with a flexible savings account. Just keep in mind when you do this, all of the tax advantages are federal tax advantages. So you still do have to pay taxes on money that you earn in the HSA for your California taxes. All right, we're getting close to the end of my part, I swear. 2 more slides. Okay, so here's an example of how it all works. We're putting it all together. If you have individual coverage on Kaiser with a high deductible plan with an HSA, this is my example, but the idea is the same for all of them. Okay, so on Kaiser, there's no premium because you're on the high deductible health plan. You do not have to pay per month to be on the plan. There's no money taken out of your paycheck for a premium. You receive $50 per month HSA contribution from the district. They give you that. It is put into the HSA for you. It is pre-tax federally. Then optionally, you can put extra money in there. You can either sign up to have that done per month, like as a deduction from your pay. So you could sign up for $80 per month, which is $960 per year. You can choose the amount up to the IRS limit, which is pretty high. It's kind of coordinated with the deductible. So you could put in the whole amount of your deductible if you want to, and never have to worry that you won't have money to cover your expenses. And then additionally, or instead of that, you can also directly contribute to the HSA on fidelity.com up to the federal limit. So let's say now I go to the dentist and they tell me that I need a night guard. This actually happened to me. They're like, you're grinding your teeth. It's probably work stress. You need a night guard. I was like, all right, fine. How much is it? And they said it was like $500 and the dental insurance wasn't going to cover it. So I went on fidelity.com and put in $500 to my account, contributed it in there. And then I paid for the night guard with the Fidelity HSA debit card thing. The advantage of that is now that I can, when I do my taxes, like deduct the $500 on federal taxes because it's an HSA contribution, it's tax deductible. At the end of the year, there's interest that's earned in the HSA. Let's say I earn $52 of interest from this money market account, which Stephanie mentioned pays interest. Then I have to put that $52 on my California taxes, even though it is not federally taxable. So I do my taxes. At the very end, it's asking you all kinds of questions. Most of them don't apply. They're always random things. Did you earn this money for fishing? Did you have to repay a mortgage rebate from 2008? All these questions that you just are like, no, 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 no. And then eventually it asks you, like, did you have any interest earned from an HSA? And you're like, oh, yes, I guess so. Finally, one of these questions applies to me. And then you type in the interest that you earned. And that's for California taxes only. So you do have to remember to do that. All right. So one more slide. One thing that I didn't understand, can you go to the next one, Rebecca? Oh, no, sorry, go back. I think there's like a delay there for a second or something on mine. Okay, so this is the last slide, example. No, wait. Okay, yeah, that's the one, sorry. This is the one I was trying to talk about. This is the example that I put here because I think before I was on this type of plan, and a lot of questions that we have reveal that other people aren't sure about this as well. Before I was on this type of plan, I didn't really understand what it meant to pay for the costs before meeting the deductible. And Stephanie mentioned it's the insurance cost. What does this mean? Well, so like you're paying $0 for preventative care, regardless of whether you've met the deductible or not. That's like flu shot, preventative screenings, like if you have certain kinds of prescriptions like birth control and other prescriptions sometimes are considered preventative. So you don't ever pay for that. But things that aren't preventative, you have to pay for them until you meet the deductible. However, when you're paying those things, you're paying them at the insurance company's negotiated rate, which is different in most cases than what is like the price tag on that thing. So here's an example with a prescription. Let's say I'm on the high deductible plan and I haven't met my deductible. My doctor writes me a prescription and I go to the pharmacy website and it says that prescription is going to be $146 without insurance. Well, when I go to the pharmacy and I give them my insurance card, they submit it to the insurance as if they're going to bill it. The insurance says I haven't met my deductible yet, so I have to pay the full cost. But the amount I'm charged now is the insurance negotiated rate for that prescription, which like is typically a lot less. So I think this was a real example that I did based on something that actually happened to me. The full cost of the prescription might be $146 and the insurance negotiated rate might be like $67.13. It's usually some random amount like that. So that $67.13, that is what you pay before meeting the deductible. It's not that you pay the sticker price until you meet the deductible. It's that you pay the insurance negotiated rate until you meet the deductible. After you meet the deductible, prescriptions do not cost money on Sutter. They cost a copay on Kaiser and Western Health Advantage. Medical visits, same kind of thing. Let's say I go to the doctor's office for like the most basic type of appointment they have that's like the lowest level of care. And it's going to be $234 without insurance. Well, then they bill it to the insurance and the insurance negotiated rate is like $180.17. That is what you pay before you meet the deductible. After you meet the deductible, the cost for the medical visits is $0 because you've met the deductible. All right, that was my last slide. I hope that nothing I said was even more confusing. I will stop now so we can have a Q&A break.
There's a little bit more content to go through, but this is just, you know, to help people out of they're going crazy from the amount of questions. So I think we've answered most of them in the chat. So feel free to raise your hand. Yeah, go for it, Ornette.
Hi, thank you, Rebecca, Stephanie, and Katie. So in the past years, because I've always had the high deductible for the last, I would say 10 years, the HSA contribution was $100 per month, 10 months a year. Could you explain what happened to the reduction to the HSA contribution from so-called the district? Because it's still from the faculty bucket, so.
Yeah, so what ended up happening is the premium from Kaiser has gone up and Sutter has gone up. And the premium from the healthcare companies is and what we are matching from our bucket does not allow for any extra room to give money back to employees. So Kaiser is now 1480 when last year it was like 13 something. So we had money last year to give employees, and the same thing with Sutter. Sutter was only like 13 something compared to our 1500 that is coming from our bucket to cover. So that because of the healthcare premium has increased and it meets up to, and we don't have that excess from what's coming from our faculty bucket to cover, to give additional monies for the HSA.
If I may make a comment here now, I'll shut up. My understanding is that because the HSA, the high deductible faculty actually would you know, the district would pay the least in terms of the district, the union from the bucket would pay the least. And so when we get $100, it's really because this is a plan that in some way subsidize people who have a large family.
No, that's not how it works. It's only the money that's coming back to employees is only the difference between the contributed amount from our bucket, which is 1535, and the healthcare premium from the healthcare company. And that is what has been given as the HSA contribution. And it's not as any other incentive or anything like that, because we can only give up to the maximum of that 1535 in coverage.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can I share information with you? With everyone?
Go for it.
Yes, thank you. My friend's wife, she just retired from Los Angeles Unified School District. When you get the golden age, which means at least 15 years of employment plus your age, if it's 80 or more, then you get golden age, which means you have to pay just for the Medicare Part B, which is included, and we pay out of pocket only $140, and the rest, everything, the rest covered by the district. Can we get something like that here at Los Rios?
We can look into it, but currently we have nothing in as for anything like that right now.
But we can look right at the Los Angeles Unified School District, what they do this.
Yes, so we can look, but it might not be an opportunity. So, but we can look.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Stephanie. I don't know if you can see that Jessica and I have had our hands up. Can we go ahead? Is that okay? All right. So I had a question. Is it possible for a person to pay the full amount in their HSA account upon opening the account? Oh, that's a good big yes. Okay, good. That's all I needed to know. Thank you.
Yeah, you can use your those retro checks that you just got and throw it into your HSA.
Just make sure though, you can only the max is a combination of what's coming from our bucket. So if you have Kaiser, Kaiser submitting if you're on the Kaiser plan, $600 is going to the HSA, so you can only contribute 53 less the 600. So because
Okay.
the maximum is the combination. If you're on Western Health, then it's the 1200 or the 1800 minus, and you can only contribute up to the maximum. So it's a combination of your own money and as well as what's coming from our bucket.
Thank you.
My question just
Yes.
related to braces. I was just wondering, can you pay for your kids' braces using the HSA? You
Yes.
can. Okay, great. Thank you.
Alan?
Yeah, I put this question in the chat, and I think there is still kind of unsure, but so if I'm on a family plan and a high deductible, a Kaiser family plan, and my son has to have a college plan where he's going to college because Kaiser is not there in that state. Am I still able to have an HSA
Yes.
even though he has another plan?
That's a dependent. It's not, it's if you or your spouse, if you have another healthcare plan, like from your spouse, then you can't be on two healthcare plans with partners. Your kid is different as a dependent.
So my HSA I could use for any expenses, including his, even though he has a college account.
Yeah, when I'm not too sure about paying for outside of your own plan for HSA. Katie or Rebecca, do you know if you could pay for somebody who's not on your healthcare plan?
Well, he
They
would
have
be,
to be your dependent.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, besides that, I
Well-
think you can. You just can't pay the premiums. You can't pay the
Right,
premiums
sure.
for the insurance with an HSA card. This
Here's
is
the, Alan, this might be a helpful distinction that might sort of begin to address your question.
Mhm.
The rule about having an HSA is like for you to open and contribute to an HSA, you can't have other health coverage.
Okay.
Yep.
Even though it's I'm getting a family a family plan.
Right. You're getting a family plan, but you, Alan
And-
Keyes,
yeah.
are opening an HSA with Fidelity, not your son.
Thank you.
Tim.
I have the high deductible plan. I get some money deducted, extra money taken out of my paycheck. If I want to get more money taken out of the paycheck, do I go through Fidelity to do that, or do I have to go through the district to do that?
Yeah, you have to go through the benefits. So the good thing about the HSA plan compared to the FSA, you can only contribute, you have to set the limit that you're going to contribute during open enrollment only. The HSA plan, you can go in continuously throughout the year and say, oh, initially I thought I wanted to put $1,300 in, but something happened during the year and you're like, oh, I want to put more money. You can go throughout the year and change your benefits. It usually takes a month, but they'll catch up and they will, from that point on, change the dollar amount coming out of your paycheck going towards your HSA plan. So yeah, so it's not just during open enrollment that you have to decide how much money you want to contribute. You can do it at any time throughout the year.
And can I do that? Like, is it just a form, or do I have to physically talk to somebody there?
No, it's a
Nope,
form in the benefit super site. You can just do
Yeah,
it
the
online.
form in the benefit super site.
Okay, thank you.
Then we've had one person here, Katie, who had problems moving it back and forth a little bit. If that happens, just email the district, so Nicole Keller probably, or someone. And if they don't get back to you, just tag one of your favorite union reps, okay, in that email. Any of them from any of the colleges.
I'm sorry, I had one other question, just real quick.
Yeah.
For the prescription copays after you meet the deductible, I think you said they're similar to what they are, on the HMO plan. Are they similar or are they the same?
I don't have it memorized, so I think they're similar.
Okay. And is
I don't know if they're the same. So we don't have the actual benefits package because the district says they are only publishing it when open enrollment.
Okay.
So that's one of the things to look for when open enrollment happens, is look at the details in the benefits package.
It will be there.
It will be in the benefits package, yes.
Okay, great, thanks.
Mhm. We just don't have we asked for it before this meeting so that we would have all the information, but they said they're not even publishing it until the very last minute. Ally?
So I have a question in terms of trying to schedule appointments. I saw some things in the chat about getting in with a specialist, or the difference between an HMO and the high deductible plan. Is that going to change how easy or difficult it is for me to schedule an appointment?
With the doctor? No. So it's still Kaiser. So or Sutter or Western Health. It's still the same healthcare, and it's still the same doctors availability and under any of them. The only thing that's different is how you're paying for it.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Clark. You're on mute.
Okay,
sorry.
this is the interpreter for Clark.
Thank you.
Yes, so I'm just curious about, because I have, you know, just a second for the. Okay, I'm going to ask him to repeat that. So I'm just curious if you have any updated information with regard to health insurance coverage for retirement, how much
We're
that's
getting
going to be monthly. You know, this district seems to not have put that information out yet, so I wanted to know if there was any updates on that.
We're going to get to that after questioning, after the question, this question part. So we're not done with our presentation. We're just opening it up for questions right now.
Oh, okay. All right. No problem. Oh, I'm sorry. I did have another question though, with regard to the PPOs. I was just wondering if the district can add, are they planning on adding any options for PPOs for employees who want to have?
Not currently. When we went
different
out,
doctors?
yeah, when we went out to bid, PPOs were more expensive. So we did not have, so every year with the marketplace, we go out and
Well,
bid.
are they allowed to let the workers decide if they want to pay for that or not? Or
Well,
because
so it's
I
a
know
committee.
Kaiser does have an
Yes.
$800 a month. It seems like a lot of money. I'm just wondering why.
Well,
didn't include
so
PPO.
we have a committee and we're only part of it. There's 6 other areas in the district that's on the same committee. And so the committee is the one that decides which plans that we go with, but comes from the marketplace. So we have a third-party vendor that goes out to the marketplace to bid for us what plans are available. And so next year when we go through this process, I can ask to see what a PPO would also cost. And so that could be one of our options. But I have 1 vote on the committee out of 6 other people. So even though we're the largest group, we only have 1 vote. So it depends on also what the other unions in the district want, managers and admin.
Okay, got you. So if a person has a disability and they need to, you know, go to different physicians or different specialists, they're limited with, you know, with having an HMO. So I was just thinking, you know, if I'm retired, you know, under 65, I would have to stay, you know, in Sacramento because I would be stuck with local, you know, whatever local coverage I could get. So I was just thinking about planning, you know, if I were to move out of state or if I had family members to take care of, I would be kind of limited here to what, you know, the doctors and the options I have here. So
Yep.
I just to think about, I just wish they had offered different options.
Understood. Ornette?
Yeah, thank you. I would just like to share because I've had the high deductible plan for many years. Ali and everyone else, one thing you want to be careful about when you see your doctor for your annual exam, because that's supposed to be preventive and you don't have to pay for anything. It doesn't cost you anything. You want to be careful that it's really just the annual exam. If you ask a question or something about something else, you're going to be charged, just so you know.
Camille?
Yes, thank you. Stephanie, I think I've emailed with you last year regarding plan options, and you did share with me the district information, looking at plan options, and I didn't actually see a quote from Blue Shield or Anthem Blue Cross.
We
And
did
both
have,
of
we
both
did.
of those plans, at least in the information that you shared with me, and I may not have had a careful read, both of those plans are offering PPO options with high deductible, medium deductible, and like their platinum version. And I put the PDF in the chat. Sierra College for the 24-25 school
I'm
year.
gonna stop you right there. So we can't compare ourselves to other districts. So last year we did go out to the marketplace, we did go to Blue Shield, and we did go to Anthem. So every district gets different quotes for healthcare based upon what we currently have. So since we were a high Kaiser district, since most of our employees are with Kaiser, Anthem and Blue Shield came out at higher cost than any other plan that was available. So we did not go with those options with Kaiser, with Anthem, or with Blue Shield because of what they quoted us. So every district gets different quotes from the healthcare people. We do not get those. We don't have the control to say from the healthcare companies what they are going to tell us how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, they base it, sometimes they base it off the insured population, so us, sometimes they base it off the region, and we can basically say we don't want to pay that, but then they can say, well, tough luck. So a lot of people have always asked for us to include UC Davis Health, and again, because a lot of people really liked that. They will not provide us a quote. They do not want to service Los Rios.
Okay, well, it looks like from Sierra College that they have plan options with Kaiser, so they're also a Kaiser plan, and they were able to get like considerably less than we're being offered for HMOs. And so I do accept what you're saying, that the initial quote they gave us was higher, but it's really concerning that our only options are HMOs. Would it be possible to offer a PPO plan? And it sounds like all faculty are being asked to contribute $1,500 per faculty member, regardless of the plan. And then it would be up to us to figure out what makes the most sense for us. But it's just like what Oronit said, with an HMO, the primary care physician acts as the gatekeeper. And so if you have 6 issues that you want to bring up, do you have to schedule 6 different appointments to be told by them, oh yes, you do need a specialist, and then you have to wait? Whereas with the PPO plan, you schedule yourself in network. And so here's a question. I'm advocating strongly for a PPO option to put faculty in a position of being able to make decisions for our healthcare. If that's not an option, would there be an opportunity for us to say, look, we're going to go cover California and get our own PPO plan? It's super expensive. So can we prove to the district that we're doing that and at least get a $1,500 supplement to help us make that more affordable?
No, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So we are only one unit out of the district. So it is not just up to us on the decision making as to what plan gets chosen either and what's available. And we do have a third-party vendor that goes out to the marketplace and gets quotes for everything. And that's part of our whole committee of the IRC that does, is we meet with the third-party vendor and we tell them what we're doing. One of the things we're asking right now is also increased dental coverage. And so we're trying to get the prices for, increasing the deductible is only $2,000 for dental coverage. So we're trying to get that increased. So we go to the third-party vendor and we tell them what we want, and they come back with quotes for us and we review it as a committee.
Would you be open to a committee contacting Blue Shield directly and saying, hey, Los Rios is...
We can't do that. The committee is the district and the bargaining units. So us as an individual bargaining unit cannot go outside of the district. And it's just, yeah, we're part of a district. We're not an individual plan.
And
Well,
this is Clark.
thank you for the answer.
This is Clark speaking.
I know it's
Are we able to
frustrating. I
vote on
agree.
this?
What's that?
This is Clark speaking. Are we able to vote
We do.
at all
on the
about this?
committee.
We do vote.
We have
Mhm.
1 vote out of 6.
We have 1 vote out of 6. Mhm. The members can't vote.
I
no.
don't think you understand that it's important for people to have options, PPO options, you know, especially when you have a lot of health issues. It's very important to have, you know, options. It's just very limited with the HMO, you know, and like I said before, even if we were to retire, you would be very limited, and it's just not, it's not right.
We understand. I mean, I will go back to the committee and ask for PPO options and what that would cost us.
Thank you, Stephanie. That would just the option would be great.
Yep. Yeah, we'll get it costed out. We'll get the option costed out.
But Stephanie, that wouldn't go into effect for 2025, right? Where
It
you're
won't- it
talking
won't
about the
be.
future.
It wouldn't, the earliest it would be 2026.
So what we're talking about today is what the options are for 2025, and that's been set in stone.
Mhm. Lorinda? Oh,
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm. So what you're telling us is that we have a middleman. They go and they give details about our collective organization, such as ages of employees, that sort of thing. And they come up with using a complex formula with an offer that they're going to give our colleges. And then that's why we can't compare to other colleges, because their profile, their numbers, their data is different than ours. So it's got to be an apples to apples bidding comparison to be able to think in terms of, oh, it's cheaper from them,
mhm.
right? Am I correct? Okay, it's just like a regular business. It's just that we're bigger and we're a collective. Thanks.
Mhm. Yeah, it goes on, a combination of usage of the insurance. So those dollars are also looked at how much is being used, and by how many people. That also contributes to the premium that is being given to us from the different healthcare agencies.
So quickly, just to tag on to that question, that means that we generally maybe aren't as healthy or as young as other colleges in the whole perspective, and begs the question, you know, as far as preventative health. I mean, we've got preventative health care, but things that will allow us as employees to stay healthier, more fit, those sorts of programs, are those something that are being more developed for our district and colleges, or are they just? I mean, I know you can get it used to be Lifetime California Fitness. Is that program expanded where we're somehow able to go exercise and be fit somewhere else?
So those programs have actually proven that they don't work. They don't increase health by doing those programs, but we still have them. And I don't know if that's I think that's part of what's on our last slide of some of the additional union benefits that we have. But you know, those are available right now. That is outside of the IRC committee. That's those type of programs as to what is being offered. But that's not part of the healthcare as far as I know. Rebecca, is that part of? I don't think that's part of this committee to say, you know, which gyms we can get discounts at.
I just looked it up and they're not usually covered by HSAs. I'd go to Orange Theory and there's a discount if you're like an educator, but it's not a very large one. So no, basically, yeah.
Clark, do you still have questions? Your hand is still up. Okay.
How about I
No,
finish
I'm
this
sorry.
off and then we'll get a few, and then once I go through the rest of it, then we can answer as many more questions as people have. Sound okay? Okay. Let's see here. Share. And then slideshow. All right, does that look all right to everyone?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so part-timer insurance, just quickly, the district doesn't have the numbers on that yet, even though they did send an email out to all employees about it, so that's a typo. What I would say is a couple things to keep in mind if you are a part-timer, that you can have a HSA account with a high deductible plan, but there's going to be no contribution for any of them for part-timers, which is wrong and horrible, but that's the way it is. So the union is looking at trying to fix that in the future, but it is not a thing right now. Okay, if you have an HSA and you're a part-timer, if you leave the district, you'll have to pay maintenance fees on the HSA account. But if you have money in there, your interest accrued, if you're using one of those money market accounts, should be hopefully higher than those maintenance fees, but just something to keep in mind. Open enrollment is different for part-timers and full-timers, so it's usually in the between times, basically. So January for the spring period. And there's FTA load premium calculator. They don't have the 2025 one out yet, but you can click on the one here for what it was for this fall, just to get an idea. Also, something to keep in mind is that if you are a part-timer, you have to work for at least 3 consecutive semesters before you're eligible for part-time healthcare. Okay, retirement stuff. Okay, they don't have the numbers out for the other categories, so that's where the question marks are. So these are for people who retire before the age of 65. So you can retire at 55 depending on a bunch of factors. Okay, but should you meet all the requirements and you're under 65 and you want to retire, your premium a month for Kaiser for just yourself, so not for like if you're covering dependents or like a spouse or what have you, it will be more, but just for yourself, it'd be $1,500 a month, basically, which is, I don't know who could afford that personally. For Sutter, if you're just retire only, it's for $477 a month for your premium, and WHA HMO for the retiree only, it's for $47 a month. Okay, so if you're planning to retire before 65, these also keep creeping up every year, just like everything else. Just something to keep in mind. Okay, so there's also high deductible plans available as well. And the Sutter and the WHA ones also look, I think they look more normal. So 370 or 252, I could see myself paying. But you'd have to then put money into your HSA account, because that would be before there's money being put into your HSA account. Just something to keep in mind. Okay, so if you hit 65 and older and you're retired, you go on Medicare and you have to sign up for Medicare Type A and Type B. And then if you want additional insurance, you can have one of these Medicare Advantage plans. So this is the only time that Kaiser is awesome, in my opinion. So if you get for retirees only, you'll see a negative in front of that 105. The district or us, I guess our bucket will actually give you $105 a month. If you are 65 and older and you have Medicare and you want the Senior Advantage plan on top of that, you will actually make money. The other ones there are the United Healthcare Medicare Advantage. That's an additional $226 a month that you would have to pay. And then there's the United Healthcare Medicare Advantage PPO. So there is a PPO in retirement. Okay, $230.71 a month. If you have a dependent, so usually a spouse at that age, but not always, that would be a little bit more money. So put those question marks. I just don't know what it is yet. Hopefully the district will explain that to us in the next week or two. Okay. But just to give an example of what to expect, I get a lot of people asking questions about how they can plan for how much their medical care will cost in retirement. So just give you a slight idea. Okay, so these are questions we had, not a lot today, but just thought we would explain them since we have had them last time. A lot of people have historically told us that they don't want to switch from Kaiser because they love their Kaiser doctors or their Kaiser specialists. If you switch from the HMO to the high deductible plan, you can keep your same Kaiser doctors. If you want to rage quit this health insurance, or you're covered through a spouse, partner, whatever, or you just want to take your business elsewhere, you can opt out of our insurance and receive $100 a month. You have to enroll in that on the Benefit Super site. If you have a spouse who is in the district, one of you can opt out and get the $100 a month. Okay, what about double coverage? So it gets complicated. You have to pay the cost of both plans. So for some of them, like if Western Health Advantage, that might be doable, but I can't give you any advice. I mean, Stephanie might know more about it than I do, but the questions are really specific with that, and I would just have you run them by Nicole Keller and Benefits because they really work weirdly together, and that is like, yeah, they're weird is what I'm going to say. Okay, so the district is doing some insurance carrier webinars. So here's the links for those. If you're curious, they were also in the email from Nicole Keller. These are also some more in-person ones that are being led by the district. Okay, and then on these links, there's just a few things for you to check out. So on here, we have full-time benefits, part-time benefits links. The retirement benefits, this goes from last year's document, not the one for this coming year, but it'll give you an idea of how it works, how to sign up for stuff, what your options are. The American Federation of Teachers benefits. Okay, so if you are LRCFT member, so that's a faculty union. If you're an LRCFT member, you're actually also part of the California Federation of Teachers and the American Federation of Teachers. You're part of 2 other unions on top of that, which gives you additional benefits. If you go to that website, there's just a lot of different stuff you could do. So there's travel things, medical, and this is true for part-timers as well if they're in the union. So I know that some part-timers prefer the dental insurance through AFT than through other places. Okay. There's also some legal insurance and things of that nature. So other benefits that are through our district is, I would say, Voya insurance is pretty awesome. So especially if you are someone who is in and out of the hospital, accident prone, you have a chronic illness or something like that, if you pay a small amount a month, you can actually, they'll give you money when things happen. So for like the hospital one, I forget what it is a month. Don't quote me on this, but let's say it's $15 a month. If you're admitted to hospital, they'll give you like $1,000 or something. So if you think that you have a situation where you like in and out of the hospital, accident prone, let's say you have like a 7-year-old boy who's always breaking something, you might want to look at one of these type of additional coverages. There's also the ARAG legal insurance. So it's not medical, of course, but if you are getting divorced, considering bankruptcy, want to do a living trust, just like anything that you would need a lawyer for, you can pay this fee a month and get some legal help with that, which will be less than just hiring a lawyer. So that's one of your benefits. Okay. All right. So that was just a really quick snapshot at the end there. Okay, and then basically, anyone have any more questions about anything? Yeah, Kevin.
Yes, so I saw that with the retirement benefits, there was a PPO if you're over 65, but can you explain why there isn't one for if you're 65 and under?
Yeah, it's just for all the same reasons we've been discussing, basically.
So is it the insurance companies that are not offering the PPO, or?
It's part of it. Some of them won't offer that service to us. Some of it's more expensive, and some of it is that the insurance review committee, the other voting members are not interested. So it's a kind of a combination of factors. So basically, PPOs are dead for this year. I know you want them. I get that. We all get it. I think Stephanie will probably go and ask the committee to look into it more next year because we do want to represent you. We work for you and for ourselves, obviously, because we're all part of the same union. We hear you. We will try to get a better explanation of like specifically why it's not possible next year, is what I would like to say. Maybe it is, maybe it suddenly changes, you never know.
Rebecca?
Yeah, it just
Yes.
really, I think it just makes people who have to stay in Sacramento who don't want to stay here. Suppose if you're under 65 and just stuck with you know, and I don't have family here, and there's a lot to consider.
No, you're right.
But thank you for your consideration.
You're absolutely right. Let's go to Lorinda next. I'm just going
Yeah.
line.
Okay, just two things. For people who are older and thinking about retiring, seeing the cheaper rate, not with United. If you shop United, if you shop those services directly, you'll find out that full Lifetime Fitness, that great big facility up in Folsom, is covered within your United Healthcare program. So just shop it when you do that. The other thing, don't make your decision about the high deductible or the not based on worries about an accident. What everybody should be doing. I had a car accident and I had a TBI and I had lots of expenses. And I wish that someone would have said this in a meeting. There's something called MedPay you can get through your car insurance, so that when you get in an accident, if you're with your family or you're by yourself, it's very inexpensive, but you can pay like $10 a month to have $100,000 worth of medical care coverage from an accident. And then you don't have to go through a lot of issues for repayment and negotiating. And if you do have a lawsuit that settles, you don't have to reimburse the health insurance company that paid for it temporarily. So everybody should call their car insurance agent, make sure they have MedPay, and make sure that they have enough under and uninsured motorist coverage, because that's how much you can get covered when you set that amount. So I'm not going to communicate this very well because it's a tough subject for me, but everybody should talk to their car insurance company and make sure that they've got enough to cover them if there's an accident. So then they don't have to lose it in the long run. That's it.
No, that's good. Just again, to kind of promote Voya through the district. If you would have pay for this month, which is pretty low, I believe, if you get admitted to the hospital, you just get $1,000. And if you stay for more than 15 days, you get like $100 a day. If you're in intensive care, you get $200 a day. And it costs about $14 a month. So there's another one that's similar for like chronic healthcare issues like cancer, etc. Just to give you some additional coverage if you want it. But those are all good tips. Thank you. Let's go with Marcia next.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for doing this presentation. I appreciate it. If you're retired before 65 and you pick one of the plans, whether it's Sutter or HMO or a high deductible Kaiser, are you eligible to change it every year at open enrollment, or when you retire, does that lock you in?
I think you can do it every open enrollment, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. I'm a little weaker on the retirement stuff. Tim?
Well, this is a requirement or a retirement question also. So I'm not quite 65 yet either. I wouldn't mind going out before 65. Can't afford that insurance. So am I able to use a HSA to pay for the insurance premium if I went out on that? No. Okay, that's good to know. So no reason to stock up on that. Second one, if I waited till 65, my wife is several years younger than me. I know you didn't have a number on there, but can we assume that it is going to be almost similar to what the numbers would be for just dependent only, which is still going to be about that $1,700 a month for dependent?
For Kaiser?
Well, Kaiser or whatever, Sutter.
If you go on,
I am in Kaiser right now, but
okay, if you do I would just say if you plan to retire under 65, you would, in my opinion, be kind of crazy to go on the Kaiser HMO before 65 because it starts at
the
1,500.
high deductible. Yeah, I know you would be nuts. That's why I'm saying
Yeah, it won't be double though. It's gonna, so you can look at last year's numbers. So let me see if I can find you the 2024 and you can kind of see how much they go up for each category. It'll be a similar step up like that.
What if, okay, but what about this though? If I waited till 65 and just had to do the spouse.
Yeah, that's an option to do.
Well, yeah, but like today, let's just say today, what would that number be?
Okay, Let me look it up for you. I will look it up while we talk to John, okay?
Fine.
What's your question, John?
Hi, thank you, Rebecca. Just for follow-up, if we have questions that come up later, who would be a good point of contact to get some additional information after this workshop? I just want, I don't have anything now, but I want to review my notes. Who can I contact for follow-up?
It would be me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
So, yeah, so I'm at Sac City, so it's row S at Sac City, Los Rios.
Appreciate it.
I'll put my email in the chat.
Thank you.
Okay, here's the link. Sorry, back to the other individual for last year's retirees. You can click on that and you can look at, let's see here. Yeah, pages, you can't do the first one. So pages 12 through 13 to kind of see how they tier up. Okay, if you see a negative for the, and this is again, if the main person is 65 or older, you can kind of see what they are, and they're more, they're better for that combination. Okay. Let's go with Shar.
Hi, first I just want to say thank you for this information today. I know that these are difficult conversations because they revolve around our health and our money, which are two very tense subjects for everybody. So I really do appreciate all this information. And I know that for the upcoming year, PPOs are not an option. They are something that I constantly send to the LRCFT when we get our little survey of what we want to see. So I guess my question is, just in seeing that there are PPOs for retirees, do you think that one of the reasons that we are not able to get PPO prices or a comparable pricing because Los Rios has traditionally done a premium that is for the family and not an individual plus dependents? So as far as I understand, like the premium is the same for one person as it is for a family.
So no, that chart is not. So we did this year because that was part of the question that we had as the committee was, you know, individuals are covering part of the price for family. And so what would it look like if we were to split it out with individual plus one and individual family? And the prices were ginormous different.
For PPOs? Is that
well, no, just even HMO, like just the plans, it was the family would be paying three times as much as and the individual would be paying less for sure, but the family ones would be paying three times as much. And so us as a committee decided not to go with that. Now PPOs did come up last year. So this year we did not go out and get additional quotes because the marketplace only really wants you, they won't give you. So what happens is we go out to the market to get quotes, and sometimes the insurance companies don't even give us quotes back. They will only allow us to ask them every few years for quotes. So this year we did not go outside of Kaiser, Western Health, and Sutter, because last year's when we went out and we went to the full marketplace to get, we got Anthem, we got Blue Shield, we got United Healthcare. Those other three agencies came back with quotes with us last year, and none of them were anywhere near the benefits that we were getting this year. And part of them required us to drop Kaiser if we were to go with their plan.
Okay. I think that
so it is a very complicated process to get quotes from the marketplace. It is not just straightforward. Just go out to the world, give us the quotes. It is really a complicated process because the different healthcare agencies are competing, and they know who we have currently, and they know how much we pay. And so they are looking at that, and they kind of like put us up like, you're paying this already and you're not, you know, if we want this, then you got to give, like, you got to do this if you want this. And you know, so it is, It's been eye-opening to be on this side of it and understand really the complexity that goes into it. But I definitely am going to go back and, see if we can ask for PPO options at Kaiser, Sutter, and Western Health. But they're going to be more expensive. That's all I can tell you for sure. They're going to be more expensive than HMOs. So we have Ally next.
So I had not heard of the option of Voya and the plan that Rebecca was just talking about. Is that something that has to be in addition? Because I do the opt-out since I'm covered through my spouse's insurance, or is that something that's a standalone?
It's standalone.
Standalone.
Okay, thank you.
Orny? Oh, I guess Clark.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephanie, for clarifying that, what you're going through, what you go through with the companies and the negotiation process. That makes it more clear. So they were requiring you to drop Kaiser. I thank you for just clarifying and expounding on that. That makes more sense to me now. So I also wanted to ask, I understand that currently, the current health coverage that we have for retirees. I think I remember something about last year being talked about coverage for spouses for both health insurance instead of having to pay full coverage. We're just wondering what happened with that. Is that something that's going to happen in the future?
Did you understand? I didn't understand the second part of
I
that.
didn't understand the question. Because spouses are covered, so under retirees, you just have to pay additional.
Right. So right now, you don't have to pay for spouses.
No, you do. There's individual plus one and family. So yeah, so you have a dependent. So you
Okay,
have.
so I didn't think I was paying for spouse currently.
You don't pay for the premiums, but they're out of pockets and the deductibles are different.
Yeah. So are you talking retirees or are you talking current healthcare?
Well, no. Well, I'm talking about right now with what
No.
I have Western Health. I don't pay anything right
No.
now.
You just pay one.
You don't pay anything for my wife, right?
No.
And so I remember we were talking about retirees getting something for the district doing something for spouses to cover them instead of her having to pay her own insurance. I'm just wondering about spouses being covered under the retirement when we retire.
Yeah, so when you retire, you can do so you will go on Medicare if you're over 65. Okay. There's a difference between early retirement, which is anywhere before 65, and then 65 and over. If you or your partner are 65 or older, you can do these Medicare supplement programs that go on top of Medicare. And in those, you can just choose to pay for yourself, your dependent only, or both of you, basically. So the cheapest would be just yourself, and then it kind of goes up from there.
Okay. I'm speaking specifically about under 65, retiring under 65.
There's the same options. You have yourself, a dependent, or dependent plus you and your dependent. So you can still get health care for your spouse. It just costs more.
And is that full price? We have to pay full price for that?
No, it's still, I mean, well, it depends on your situation, but they're just much more expensive. So again, these are last year's number, but for Kaiser HMO, this is last year, so it's higher this year.
So technically there's no coverage then?
No, there is
because right
coverage.
now,
yeah.
so if you retire under 65, then what is it? You pay the 1,000 something
Yeah,
a month.
that's coverage. That's cheaper than going outside of insurance, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we gotta go.
I mean, but on a retiree salary, that would be probably impossible.
Yeah, for me.
For Kaiser, I wouldn't do Kaiser if I was retiring.
Maybe you like really cleaned up on your 457B or whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's ones that are a little bit better. The Sutter high deductible one is a little bit more doable, and so is the Western Health Advantage. So I would look at those for early retirees.
Tim?
Okay, thanks for sending that Kaiser Senior Advantage. So I just want to clarify that though. If once I turn 65, my spouse still won't be 65, but they could get that reduced amount. So it would cost us, if I'm looking at what you just sent me, I know it's for this year, Retire Me plus dependent is, even if the dependent is not 65, it would still cost us $168. Is that correct?
So no, actually,
Or
well, in those
the
situations, if you,
spouse has to be 65 as well.
no. So if you look at page 10 on that thing and you look at the retiree plus spouse domestic partner coverage. So let's say if Kaiser, let's say you are over 65, and you wanted to go on, you could stay on our regular plans. You're not forced to go on Medicare if you're over 65, if you're still fully employed. Okay, so there's an option there. But if you want to go on Medicare and you want to do one of these supplemental plans, but your partner is under 65,
Right.
they can go into the Kaiser HMO, DHMO, or the high deductible, and you would pay those normal prices for them, I believe. Okay. You just can't be in a different thing. So like if you wanted to stay in Kaiser, but your partner spouse wanted to be in Sutter, you wouldn't be able to do that.
No, that's fine. But I'm going to, so you're telling me that if I went, once I retire and I'm 65,
Mm-hmm.
my wife will not be 65. I can't go to Kaiser's Senior Advantage.
No, you can.
And would my wife and I, would she be the retiree plus dependent, the 168?
No, she would be on the regular plan, the Kaiser, whatever one you pick, the HMO, the DHMO, or the high deductible plan.
So both people have to be 65 to get that Kaiser Advantage if you're going to have Kaiser, the retiree plus dependent. I could be on the retiree only, but
Yeah.
she would, but before she's 65, she would have to pick one of those other ones that.
Yeah, and she can do the high deductible, which is pretty, I mean, you don't have to pay anything for the high deductible. You just have to make sure you have things to pay the deductible when it comes up. And then you wouldn't actually be paying that 100, you would be getting 100 and something from Kaiser.
Well, I'd be getting 82.
Well, that's from last year.
Thing, right?
That's
Yeah.
last year's numbers. It's a little higher this year.
Right.
Like they would be giving you the money, you wouldn't be giving them the money.
Yeah, right. But dependent only then is 1,286.
That's before you retire.
Well, this is really confusing then.
I know.
I'm with Clark on this one. I'm not understanding what you guys are talking about here. If I'm 65, right, and I retire, I get the fact that I'm getting $62 back or whatever.
Right.
What is my wife paying on a high deductible Kaiser plan? What's the combination between both of us using this year's thing?
Yeah,
That's
so
weird.
she would still be on the old non-retiree thing.
So she'd be on the early retiree medical,
No, because I don't think
not
so.
even on that,
No, because she's not an employee, right?
but I'm retired.
Right. I would
What
talk
would
to
she
Nicole
be on?
Keller for the
She's not
breakdown.
She's not an employee. She's a spouse.
I know, but that's the dependent cost. I would talk to Nicole Keller. I'm telling you this, which I think is true, but I'm not 100% sure. I would just read that page 10 because it says an individual under 65 would remain on the normal HMO, DHMO, or high deductible plans, and the Medicare eligible individual would be in the Senior Advantage.
Yeah, so it'd be $1,200 for her. I'd be getting $82 back.
No, because you're looking at the early retiree, not the other ones.
So currently, Kaiser HD, the high deductible is a $0 premium. So it'd be $0 if she was on the high deductible, and you would be getting back $100.
Okay, so is that even in this thing that you guys sent me via?
It's just sort of explained on page 10 of that retirement benefits thing.
But the numbers aren't the
combo numbers are not there for that.
They're not there for me to look at. That's why I'm confused.
Yeah, I would email Nicole Keller So I give you an example. I've looked at this a little bit because my wife retired and she was a Los Rios faculty member, but she's on my insurance. She doesn't actually have to worry about it for now.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else? I think Stephanie's done.
Yeah, I have another meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I can just hang out here if anyone has questions. Not that I will know how to answer them. If I don't, I will forward them to Stephanie if you need to go. So.
Yeah, forward them to me.
Okay.
You're welcome, Clark.
Hey, Rebecca.
Yeah. What's up?
Hi, Stefan. What's the difference between the deductible, the DHMO with Kaiser and the high deductible HMO with Kaiser?
The DHMO is basically an HMO that's just slightly less expensive, and has like some weird coverage that's just a little bit different. So for example, for Kaiser, this coming year, so last year the DHMO was 410 and the HMO was 456. And now the HMO for Kaiser is 682 and the DHMO is 466.
So I guess comparing the DHMO, because just the plain old HMO, I'm not really considering that, but comparing the dollar amount of the DHMO and the HDHMO.
Okay, the high deductible plan is again 0.
Right.
You will get $50 a month from the district to you and your
there's
HSA.
no HSA with the DHMO.
Yeah, the HSAs only go with the HDHP, the high deductible plans.
What's the annual for the DHMO?
It is, hang on. Roman Tito. $5,595.
$5,500, and then the HDHP is you get 600 back for the HSA, but then it's a $3,000.
You get 600 a year, so you get $50 a month or 600.
But then what's the it's 3,600 max.
Yeah, if you go to the slide and pay on slide 13, you can look at it a little bit more granularly. So I'll share the slides again in case anyone can't find the link. So here we go.
So the DHMO is a little bit more than the HDHP, but not as much as just the straight HMO is more.
It's more affordable than the HMO, but not, it's very similar, and the coverage is, I think, kind of weird. I can't tell you exactly what the coverage differences are, but there are some.
Whereas the coverage for HDHP is the same coverage as HMO.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so there's certain things you don't get with the DHMO.
Well, you would get them, you would just probably pay more of a copay or something, which would go towards your deductible or your out-of-pocket costs. I don't really get it, to be honest, why someone would want to do it. It's like you pick kind of the same sort of situation, but you just made it more confusing. Like I feel like either the HMO, like the only benefit is that if you have it already, you don't have to change anything, you don't have to do any paperwork, you don't have to think at all. But you're spending a hell of a lot of money. With a high deductible, you're definitely saving money. There's no way that you could pay more money than you do than the HMO if you do the high deductible plan.
And
even
so
if you get a car accident on day one, you're still saving money.
So with the high deductible health plan, switching, because I've just been with Kaiser for 25 years.
Sure.
With Los Rios. And so if I'm going to switch, how hard is that open enrollment? I've never gone through open enrollment before.
So you just go to the benefits super site, which I believe Katie put somewhere in there. You just log in and it just asks you what you want to do, basically. One of us can sit with you if you want. You just go in and you click. I think it takes like 5 minutes to do. So maybe. Yeah,
it's very, very easy. It's not difficult at all, Paul.
Yeah, you know how there's a bunch of BS forms around this place that we have to deal with that are horrible? It's a lot easier than any of those. It actually works, weirdly.
It's a third-party website.
Woo! Lorinda. If anyone has a question, just go for it.
Lorinda has her hand up, but I don't know if she knows she has her hand up.
There we go. I couldn't unmute. It wasn't clicking. I came in late, about 15 minutes into the presentation. So when you said you shared things earlier, are you talking about at the beginning of the chat or in the email or some kind of an email that you sent out to everyone?
I just put the slides in there so that
A link to the slides in the chat?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I saved the chat, so I should still be able to have that link after you're done.
There you go. Send it again. Then I'll email, you'll get another spammy email from me next week with the video link and the slides.
And who at the district office in HR do you talk to about the FSA?
HSA or FSA?
FSA.
It's still Nicole Keller, but I mean, FSAs are not as good as HSAs, I don't think.
This is on a different matter. I just was looking for the right contact name.
Okay, sure.
okay.
Yeah, I would just email Nicole Keller. If you don't hear back, just CC one of your union reps.
Okay.
Because I just, HR can be very good, but they're very understaffed. They get a lot of questions, especially now around open enrollment. So if you have a lag, just follow up with one of us. We'll try to help make it more of a priority for them.
Okay. And do you have any advice for someone who is thinking about changing from from Western Health Advantage to Sutter or Kaiser? Any ins or outs of that?
It just depends on what you want to do. I'd say I kind of personally loathe Kaiser for their costs. I think it's ridiculous. I personally am on the Sutter HMO. I like it. I don't think it's that hard to deal with. I work with people who are on the WHA HMOs, and they find it very easy as well. So it just if you like controlling your finances and you like saving money and making money and stuff like that, I would consider the high deductible plans.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go to the high deductible plan. I just haven't, the logistics of going through the transition is challenging for me. So I just,
if you don't want to change your doctor or something like that, I would do the high deductible plan on whatever thing you already do. So if you're in Western Health Advantage, just do
I had real trouble with Western Health Advantage trying to get prescriptions approved and that sort of thing. They're way behind they're using Optimum RX, which is a really unreliable online system for monthly delivery. I just, so I'm wondering if the slides at the beginning of your presentation, did they present anything like about who the providers are, like Mercy Medical or anything like that? Okay, so I have to...
No, it's mostly just about the prices. I know that I do have Sutter, and it works well for me and my family. So
yeah. Okay.
That's helpful because we probably have a different situation, but
yeah, that's the one that I'm thinking about is Sutter. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I think, Katie, do you have Sutter HB?
Yes.
Okay. And how does that work for you?
Sorry, is there a specific question or just in general?
I mean, do you have problems with your prescriptions getting them?
No, I just go to the drugstore like a normal prescription. I go to CVS and pick it up, pay for it. They have a drive-through.
And that's through Sutter?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Sutter
You
doesn't
can
have a pharmacy like Kaiser does?
No, they outsource their prescription through, it's still covered. They have a separate
You go to Rite Aid, CVS,
place that does it. Yeah, it's
Walgreens.
CVS Caremark. CVS Caremark is the name of the insurance that Sutter has for prescriptions, but basically it's not like a separate thing. You just give your Sutter card, your insurance card to the pharmacy and they bill it. Or if you want mail order, you can go to cvscaremark.com and sign up on there and then they'll send it to you in the mail. But I don't do that because I don't have like a lot of prescriptions that I take all the time or anything. So if I need one, I just go to CVS. Like they just call it in from the doctor's office and I go pick it up. It's normal.
What about radiology?
It's
lab work, is Sutter all in-house?
You just go to
some of it is, some of it isn't. Their doctor will just tell you,
right.
Like
they'll tell you where to go. It's like
it's like with Kaiser, it's all in the same building.
It's not all in the same building.
Right, but
besides that, it's the same.
Yeah.
It's when you have Sutter, you log onto this website and to make an appointment, to do different things. It's like, which lab do you want to go to get this blood test? And you just click one and go to there. So there is different locations that aren't always in the same building, but
Some of them are in Sutter. but
sometimes they are, yeah.
Kaiser, if I go to the doctor and he says, hey, you need a blood test, I go downstairs.
Yeah, you do that. I do that at Sutter
You can,
too.
yeah, you can do that.
do have
Also, it just depends on the doctor. Like the doctor's office that I go to has a lab in the building. But it doesn't have radiology or whatever. So I guess if I needed that, I would have to go somewhere else.
I always thought Sutter was almost exactly like Kaiser, where everything was just kind of in-house.
No, it's not. So sometimes it is, but it's pretty clear where you should go though, I think. Yeah, Heike?
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to say to Paul, I just put it in the chat. So I've been with Kaiser forever in the HMO plan, and thanks to your workshops last year, thank you. I finally switched over to the high deductible plan. I was always nervous, and it was like this question was, this sounds too good to be true. And I remember Rebecca saying, but it's true. It's the easiest thing. You save a lot of money. Signing up is easy at the super site, the benefit super site, and you make money. Well, yes, I paid the $1,800 very quickly. I mean, an X-ray may cost all of a sudden $1,000, which you don't actually pay. You pay the insurance rate, right? So the 1,800, and it wasn't even 1,800 that I paid. And I said, your math and my math is different. I was trying to be honest, and it was like a lot less than 1,800. And all of a sudden, even the prescription that you're supposed to then pay up to 3,600 if you have any prescriptions, they're all of a sudden, after you met your high deductible rate, they're no longer the negotiated price. They're actually down to the former copay rates, is what I found out.
Oh, cool.
So, which I don't, maybe somebody's not doing their math correctly there, but I don't care anymore. I'm done with being too honest. So it was super easy. I was able to keep my doctors. I was a little nervous, even though you guys said that's what would happen. I still called member services and they said, yeah, you will keep your doctors unless you want to change them. But so if you want to be the same Kaiser member, and I didn't want to leave Kaiser either, I'm so glad I did this. And that was thanks to your workshops last year. Thanks. I just
awesome.
Wasn't sure this year if something changed for the high deductible plan. I was a little nervous. So, yes. And then I saw that the district is paying $50 rather than $100, but that's totally bearable.
Yeah.
And also I am shocked. I did not know that the district is actually not paying for it, meaning HR. I mean, that it's coming out of the bucket, right? So
yeah, we hear faculty, they want higher salaries. That's more important to them than their insurance. So,
and I really appreciate also that how can I say this, that we were able to get our COLA and retro checks separately, because I am not I don't have a family plan, or I'm an individual. So I feel, and the high deductible plan, so it would totally work against me if we can spend our retro however we want, as opposed to folding it into health insurance. So especially if I'm taking a health insurance plan that doesn't cost me anything. So thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks, everybody. Did a great job.
Oh, good. Thanks for coming.
Handled all those PPO
Oh my God.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to sign off too. Thank you.
All right,
everybody.
absolutely.
You guys are great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording.
Question real quick.